we try to do this homage show to Trugoy or Dave, however it is you want to address him, or De La Soul. We're a little late for X amount of reasons. I mean, better late than never. It's not a requirement, but nonetheless, we like to give flowers before anything happens. But nonetheless, in this case, we have to give flowers to Trugoy, Dave, De La Soul. And that's really what we're gonna talk about. Just no fancy shit, no questions back and forth. It's just break down our experiences, how we got into, De La, maybe a little bit into Dave's approach and all that. Yeah.
I'm just pinning the I'll do a comment and you can pin it.
All right, bet. But yeah, I appreciate y'all getting on. Every Wednesday we go live. Next week we'll get to that at the end. But let's get right into it.
Yeah. So let's get the negative out of the way. All right.
All right, let's do that. All right.
All right. So the negative part for me is that, like, I've been a De La head since they first came out. I've been a Tribe head since they first came out, but specifically De La Soul from the very beginning. And like we post them heavy and all that shit. And you know what I'm saying? It's always funny to me when somebody passes away and everybody comes out the woodwork. Like, it pisses me off, man. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Like, we can pin that.
What it is.
It pisses me off, man. And I just I wasn't saying, nobody was talking about De La, like, really like that, yo. Like, and I hate that shit, man. Like, the shit is goofy to me. Oh, this shit's crazy. The shit is goofy to me, like, in a lot of ways, man. You know what I mean? And I just, it happens all the time. I mean, it's not just Dave. I mean, it happens, and I just sit back and I look, I'm like, damn, nobody was really posting, talking about this shit. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, this person is just your people right here, Ruben Stuzik. Well, I don't know what they're saying, man. What they talking about? Already early. God damn, man. You're fucking. Ugh. What up, Janine? So, yeah, Sharpie got the ill artwork, man. Fuck with Sharpie, man. Fuck with them. They got the ill shit. But yeah, man. Like, I just feel like I guess I'm just venting. That it's just like
yeah. It's true. It's true. We see it all the time. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're right. I mean, and
no, you're not straight.
We're trying to, we're trying to, acknowledge and get that out of the way, right? The elephant in the room, because it's true. It happens with everything. All of a sudden, when Doom passed away, all of a sudden, because I remember specifically Doom fans, or no, not Doom fans, sorry. When I mentioned Doom, there was a lot of people that come back like, oh, I don't like him. It doesn't pertain to me. I don't understand him. Then all of a sudden, everybody was a Doom fan. Now, there is a fine line, right? There's a fine line of, okay, and it still kind of pisses me off, but okay, there's that fan or whatever it is that gets put on said artist because of the passing, right? Because again, I haven't always been a fan of, like, let's say a Common. When Common came out early, like 94 or even before that, I was not a fan to say, like, oh yeah, I know who he was, I know his music, but never really was a fan. It wasn't until maybe a year into the Resurrection where I was like, all right, it's dope. But it's through conversation, not through trending topics, not through someone passed away, oh, now I'm a big fan. I know a couple people, but one specific person that when and again, we're gonna get to the positive of this, but we're gonna right now.
I had to get it out.
Yeah, no, we have to. It's a must. But I know somebody, when the Anonymous Nobody came out, which is their last album, when it came out and they saw the track listing and it said, Snoop and 2 Chainz and Usher, this said person was like, fuck De La. They lost me. Sellouts. I'm not listening to them again. I have screenshots of this shit. Okay, and I know this person. Then all of a sudden, when this happened, unfortunately, with Trugoy, yo, De La, I've been a fan since forever. I rock with y'all. I love y'all. I miss you. And it's like, you don't miss somebody that you don't know, right? Let's start with that. But I got screenshots of you saying, fuck this, fuck that, you sellouts. Then you turn around and say something else. So, yeah, it's a little annoying. It kind of kills it for a lot of people. Like you said, you didn't post too much about it, right? Because it was
Now,
one of those, like, you didn't want to get caught up in the same shit.
I posted the day he passed. Rest in peace, Trugoy. You know what I'm saying? I posted the day he passed, and and then I just saw like, and then it just got out of control for me. I saw people like posting, but I'm like, word, you fuck with De La? Like, I mean, like, it's just weird, man. It was weird, and I kind of just was more internal with it, and just was like, damn, this is a big part of my childhood gone and shit like that, in a lot of ways and stuff. And so we just kind of look at it from, but I didn't post a lot. I posted that the day he passed, and then I posted a joint, a Dilla remix, but that was it, man. I just wasn't into that. So we don't have to stay there too long. You know what I'm saying? I definitely just wanted to point that out because I think it's bullshit, and it's you know what I mean? Saying yeah, the Sharpie, dead rappers get better promotion. Sean
True.
Price, it's the same thing with Sean Price. Motherfuckers don't even know that he was part of Helter Skelter. They don't know that he had a completely different flow, that he was skinnier, that he had locks. They don't even fucking know Sean Price. They don't know that he switched his entire flow up. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's
right?
probably one of the most Sean Price has to be the to me most shocking when people they're like, oh yeah, and Sean P, and then you bring up anything prior to him being stolen. It's like, what?
Fuck,
I didn't know that.
fuck out of here. I hate that shit.
Now
Like,
again,
yo,
again, there's a fine line. I get it. I give respect. I give respect to those that acknowledge, yo, I was put on to said person after they passed, and they
course.
acknowledge it. But those that come out and talk about like I've always rocked with this, and yet
Come
you
on,
and I
man.
have
Like,
never had a conversation about that.
yeah, the Sean Price shit is crazy. The Sean Price shit is crazy. His we got a couple minutes. The Sean Price shit is crazy. The Dilla shit is crazy. The Dilla dick riding is ultra crazy. Like, listen, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, yo. I can only speak. I'm gonna speak for my geographic area because that's we always say that's very important, right? In Connecticut, I grew up an hour outside of New York City and just an hour and a half from Boston. Like, really, go up out 2 hours. So we nobody was fucking with Dilla like that back then. Like it wasn't like he wasn't primo status when he was alive. At least not my ciphers, man. Like I mean, it wasn't no hate or nothing, but it wasn't like people weren't talking about Dilla like that when he was alive. As far as I was concerned, I don't know how it was everywhere else, but I don't think I I didn't hear his name being tossed around like that until he passed away. Like, and if I'm and if you did or whatever, I'm just saying in like the northeastern United States, New York, Jersey, tri-state New York City area, I wasn't hearing Dilla like that. Like on as far as just goat shit. You know what I mean? There was no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? But and then after, I'm hearing like best ever this that. I'm like, word, like where the fuck was this coming from?
Yeah,
Look,
yeah, and, and,
we
and again,
talking some
it's
other
true.
shit, but it's funny though, man. Dilla Short Price, Doom, crazy, yo. Shit,
You,
the
you know what's
fucking
crazy? You know what's crazy? And again, we're 10 minutes in. I want to get to the
we
positive, but
get
I
to it. We
want to mention this.
got enough time.
I don't.
Fuck
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I don't remember this happening, and I'm not trying to get eras involved, but like when Guru passed, when Five passed, I mean, even earlier than that, I don't remember. It might be social media actually, but I don't remember cats jumping on the bandwagon like that when like Guru, Fife, and then past. Like, I don't remember that, but
I think the social media has changed things a
that's
lot.
probably what it
Yeah,
is.
that's
Now,
probably what.
again, it's a fine line. If because there's no way, unless you're living under a rock, there's no way you don't know, the name De La Soul, or probably even never heard. Let's just say me, myself, and I, one or the other, right? Just in passing, at a party, at a wedding, in the on the radio, you would have heard either the name or that song. I'm not saying people all of a sudden just coming up and saying, "Oh, I love." My problem is if you come out and say, "Yo, I've been down," and yet you can tell me the name of their first three albums, or you know, name them by name outside of plug one, two, and three. Like, come on. But in the same breath, and someone just said it. I can't remember who it was. Might have been Sharpie. How, yeah, I mean, more fans is dope. If someone gets put onto them legitimately and acknowledge the fact, like, yo, I got
Of course.
this post, passing away or death or whatever, then great, cool. But those that are flying the flag, yo, I've been down since day one. Come on, dude.
Yeah. So that's cool. We can. That's we
All
can
right.
wipe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you got then?
So
Where
and
you
really,
want to
this is,
start?
and again, we go back to the whole organic shit. I don't really have too much written down. There's a few bullet points that I wanted to make,
Right.
but first I want to talk, because I want to get into Dave, or Trugoy, himself. We want to talk De La. Obviously, you can't talk De La without talking Native Tongues. Can't talk De La without talking Jungle Brothers, Red Alert, Prince Paul. Like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But I do want to get into specifically Dave Trugoy and his approach to emceeing. But let's talk De La and how we came into it. I first heard, so I didn't know, but the first time I heard De La was obviously Me, Myself, and I. And that's just the sample that was used. I mean, that sample, that's just old school funk out here in the West Coast. So it clicked. I'm like, yo, that's what my cousin was listening to. So it just clicked. Not a big deal in terms of like, oh, that's revolutionary, because it was just, yeah, that someone sampled that. To me, where it made a big difference. A lot of people say plug tuning. To me, the big light that went on was when I saw the video for Say No Go, because I know Hollow Notes, I know the song, I know the sample, and I'm like, well, and it wasn't like a snippet. It was just like, yo, this, we sampled this, from the chorus to everything, and the message, right? The message was dope. It was up tempo, and it was talking about, it was basically, you're saying no to drugs, and that's when I'm like, all right, it's cool to say this, because at that time, maybe a little bit after, but I remember, the dare, I don't want to say meetings, the dare portions of school where, the dare cops would come out, anti-drug this and anti-drug that. It was really like, I don't want to listen to this. But then when musically, rap, in terms of rap music, something up tempo that someone can dance to is saying like, yeah, you don't have to do drugs. Like, that's really what just clicked for me. And also the black and white images, because the video was black and white. I might have seen a black and white video before. I know this was already 89 or 90, but there was something about that black and white image that I noticed. So to me, the first time I acknowledged De La for what they were was the song Say No Go.
Mm. So I heard Plug Tuning first 'cause that was their debut single, but I when I heard Potholes in My Lawn, and I lost my shit. I lost
It's amazing.
my, like, completely lost my fucking mind. And 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 um and it was a wrap after that. And when I heard that shit, and then the whole album, ridiculous, man. It was a different thing. And for me, the biggest thing about De La was that, I mean, my man talked about it. It showed that, like, it was okay to be different, like, as, like, black males. Like, you could rock some different shit. You could rock some, like, you could rock some different shit. Like, at no point ever did anybody ever think that De La Soul wasn't masculine. You know what I mean? Like even with this shit, like they lost. A plus told me that like they was on tour and De La was fighting motherfuckers, like knock cats out. You know what I'm saying? So, um, like so they was never looked at as like punks. They was on some different shit, but they was never looked at as fucking suckers or soft. So I just thought it was dope because it was like it was different and they were spitting crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? But so for me, the potholes in my lawn shit, I lost my shit. That was a wrap. So you know what I mean?
It really, I mean, because we can't sit here and say it was different. Don't get me wrong, it was completely different. But you know, they allow themselves will tell you, you know, they took a little from ultramagnetic because honestly, ultramagnetic was the first really odd uh, music setup format I've heard, right? So I figure they took a little bit of that, but it really was to me everything, right? From the samples. Okay, so let's talk 3 Feet High and Rising. We'll get into the whole Dave thing, but 3 Feet High and Rising. Um, the fact that the album starts off like you're in a game show, that alone was just weird to me. Like throughout the album, the skits. I mean, I'm sure there were skits before that, but the way the skits were done, we got to give it to De La, right? The 3 Feet High and Rising starts with skits where you know you're on a game show. It's funny. Um, I think the I think the fact that Prince Paul brought a lot of that comedy, um, and I don't think Prince Paul gets mentioned enough whenever we talk about at least the first 3 albums of De La. Um, they've even said it themselves, like he was an honorary member. But yeah, the skits, the the clothing that was being worn, the fashion, I guess you can say. And honestly, let's be honest, like their their approach wasn't like I'm wearing something to be different. That's just what they were wearing, right? That's how revolutionary that is. Like I'm not trying to be different. This is just me. And then on top of that, the unconventional rhyme form that they were rhyming in. I remember I can't remember if it was Treading Water, what song it was, but I'm like, wait a minute, that was supposed to rhyme already, and they weren't rhyming on like, you know, 1, 2, 3, rhyme, 1, 2, 3, rhyme. They were rhyming 1, 2, 3, rhyme, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, rhyme, 1, 2, 3. So it was like it took me a while to catch on to that. I'm like, wait a minute, oh shit, they're rhyming like way on this end. So it took me a while, and then once I caught on to that, I was just like, yeah, this is something completely different. That's what I mean. They did it throughout their. They do it till this day. But again, if we're talking 3 Feet High and Rising, to me, even though I claim that album as a classic, it's not one of my favorite, but it's definitely the stepping stone.
Yeah, no, it was a classic joint. I mean, you know, the just different, and that was '89, so it was like, you know, like really out there for '89. You know what I mean? Like it was 88, '89 is, you know, so yeah, it was a brilliant album. You know what I mean? A brilliant album, and you know, in particular, if we're talking about Dave, you know, I'll say this about, you know, one point I want to make. I always wish they both did. Uh, I wish they did a solo album each because I feel like people don't
Individually,
understand, huh?
individually,
Yeah, because I feel like people don't really understand how dope these cats are. Both
both.
and Dave, like Pasta News is my favorite, but I feel like he's almost everybody's favorite. But like my man, he might be in the show. Like he's like, yo, Dave's. He's like, you don't understand though. Like you know what I mean. Like, and if you really listen to Dave, and maybe it's because his voice is very mellow, right? It's not a very overpowering voice. You know what I'm saying? Um, like Dave, like I don't know, like I feel like he still slept on. You know what I'm saying? I still like he
Yeah,
was even within the group. Like, I mean, I feel like I slept on him. I'm saying it. Like, I feel like I slept on him. You know what I'm saying?
You slept
So
on what?
I'm saying I feel like I even slept on him. You know what I mean? Like his I mean, like even in It's So Easy shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's killing it in that shit. Like these like Colombians they never ran with your crew. Like he's like
Bro.
the only Italians you know is ices
No,
and shit.
so here's the funny thing, and I think you hit it right on the nail. The fact that, with the exception of possibly the first album, 3 Feet High and Rising, because 3 Feet, I wanted to save this for later, but it goes with this. So every album, Paz kind of keeps the same format, and that's not a bad thing, but he kind of keeps the same approach to his rhymes. Whereas I've noticed, and I did notice, Dave changed it every album, even up to like maybe even Bionics. There was just a slight change with Dave, whether it's content, but mostly the delivery and the way he was writing the rhymes, which is again how someone can do that and be killing it every time. That's incredible.
Yo,
Um,
keep talking. Give me 1 second. I gotta stop
yeah,
real
yeah,
quick.
bet. So yeah, with It's So Easy. So I had heard, and I'm sure you guys heard too. The there's a part in that album, or in that song actually, where Moni Love in the video, she said she's rapping or whatever, she's in the video, and she says something in where Dave kind of looked at her like he scared her or something. She mentioned it on an interview, and I just thought that was cool because with not so much all native tongue, but De La, there's a lot of stuff, even with like the Buddy video, it's not filtered to get the best shot, to get the best, I'm sure, best sound, but it's what they were doing. It's not like I gotta look a certain way, I gotta make this sound a certain way. I'm shooting the video, I have to be rapping a certain way. Like there's a lot of times where you notice in a video someone's laughing and not really finishing the lyric, and they keep it, and that's just what it is. I'm sure they're perfectionists, but it's not to the point where like, well, I messed up, let me change it. They just kept it, and I think that was so authentic. And again, up until the Bionics record, or even the Anonymous Nobody, they were still doing that.
Yo, I think it's. I want to give you like your flowers, man. I think it's dope how like you your brain. Like I thought my brain was active and like really like analyze shit. Like I think it's dope how like you notice how this cat changed his rhyme scheme from album to album. Like notice different shit about the whole shit. Like I just think it's dope, man. Like cause that's you're like a real student of like the details, and I always appreciate people that are like really give a fuck about the details. And like I think I'm about the details, and I'm like, damn, like yeah, I didn't pay attention to that, and then you bring it up, and I'm like, oh shit. So I just appreciate that aspect of you, like just like really honing in on like the like detailed shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to say that. So
I
anyway,
appreciate you. I mean, I'm telling you, and I've said it before, I'll say it forever. It's, anything I was right. Hip hop wasn't is everything to me. But when I was in school, and I mean, I would trade anything I could. I think I might have said this. I had a watch, a brand new watch. Now, don't get me wrong, this wasn't no Rolex. I was in elementary, fifth grade, sixth grade, something like that. And I traded it for a I think it might have been a Big Daddy Kane cassette. And the I mean, obviously the watch was more expensive than the cassette. Cassettes were like $9. Watch could have been 30, $40, but I traded just because I needed to have it. I knew my parents were going to buy it for me, so I was just like, I need that Kane tape. Traded it, and really it was, I'd get home and it's write the lyrics down, right? Unless I had the actual tape and the liner notes showed the lyrics, it was always like, all right, I'm gonna pause, one line. I think he's saying this, and I would write this shit out. That happened all the way to high school. I would write shit out, and I've noticed I would know this shit, and that's why I became an MC, just because I noticed like how people are able to condense X amount of words, and that's probably why I like that chopper style. And we had a conversation about that because it's like when people found out how to use specific words, condense them. Not only that, make them bounce so nicely off the tongue. To me, that was just incredible. But yeah, I've always been just amazed by the way people approach their rhyme patterns. So yeah, I 100% noticed Dave. Every album, for those that don't notice, every album, listen to specifically Dave. Pos did it a little bit, but he kind of kept the same. Dave, every album had a different approach to the way he wrote his rhymes.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. So, so where you want to go? I mean, like, there's so much. I mean, like, there's De La, there's Native. I mean, I want to get into what Planet Asia said. You know what I mean? Which I think is
Let's do
very
this.
important.
I wanna go. I wanna touch on the albums a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We can go super quick, but again, so 3 Feet High and Rising to me, right? They fucking sampled uh, Schoolhouse Rock, sampled that shit when people were sampling James Brown and shit like that. Steely Dan, like the opening of the gates for sampling stuff that wasn't really getting sampled at the time. And keep in mind, this was early sampling days too. So that's one. That's 3 Feet High and Rising. And it was more colorful. I believe my sole approach to the follow-up album was risky, but it worked on their behalf. Was De La Soul is Dead, kind of killing the whole quote-unquote hippie approach that people were branding them with. I thought it was risky because everyone was kind of like, yeah, this hippie peace, buddy, everybody together, native tongues, and all of a sudden it's like, kill that shit. We're not all about that, but they had to do it, and I think it was dope. Now that's one, right? De La had a lot of, whether with visuals, content, they weren't coming out directly telling you what they thought, what they needed to tell you in that message. They were giving it to you in certain ways. So in the De La Soul is Dead album, so there's Three Daisies, Broken Pot. That's them. Like, fuck what you think of us. That whole Daisy thing, shit's broken, right? Now, of course, De La Soul is Dead. You know what it is, but visually, like, yo, that's true, right? Concept songs. On the second one, well, I don't want to get too detailed, but on the second album, I thought it was dope how Mr. Long from Black Sheep and Maceo had a skit that ran throughout the album. So if you guys don't know, it starts off with like this kid like, hey, I found a De La Soul tape in the trash. And they're like, oh shit, let's hear it. And then someone comes in and he's like, hey, what do you got there? Like a bully punches this little kid, grabs the tape, and which is Mr. Long, Black Sheep. And what I believe is Maceo was like, oh, let's listen to it. And then throughout the album, Maceo and Mr. Long are shitting on the album. Like, this shit is whack. To me, that's genius. I mean, it's genius. I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, I think the album's brilliant, man. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, it was groundbreaking, and to me, 3 Feet High and Rising was groundbreaking.
Of
But then
course.
Zed went in another direction. The points you made were great about like they they came on some indirect shit, and I love the subtle. Like I love the shit. Me and PA were talking about it, like the fucking Millie put Santa. You said Biddies in the BK Lounge. Like there were so many joints, yo, and like they made a track dissing house music, and it was a dope house track. Like, 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 come on, man. Like that's. I mean, I as a house head, I'm like, I can't be mad. This shit fire. Fuck it. Like whatever. Like you know what I mean. Like they. So that album to me is brilliant. It's still. And I look at replay value. It's still like stands the test of time. It's still the album could come out anytime, and be like, what the fuck is this? You can play it for anybody in any generation years from now, and they'll be like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this 3 Feet High and Rising? What the fuck is this De La Soul is Dead? The Hey How You the Hey How You Doing? Remember? Brilliant, brilliant. This, you know what I mean? Like number is 2222222. Machine that can talk to you. Like, I mean, like, like knocking at my door saying, "Oh, yeah, come on." I can't understand what the problem is. Come on, I'm not there for my own biz. How did they get my name and number? Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? So um, I think De La Soul is brilliant, and I just like I said, I wish they did individual projects. We could see maybe possible do one, but especially Dave, man, like he was slept on, man. You know what I mean? Like so.
You
Um,
know what I wanted to talk about too, Dave. Again, this is the whole squad De La Soul, all native tongues, and we'll get to that. But I've always liked, because I'm like you, right? Pos out of the group, I think Pos was my favorite, but there was no shortage of me acknowledging that Dave was on another level. Um, why he wasn't like on top of Pos in terms of scale or ranking, that's besides the point. But what I did notice is, Dave, as albums progressed, he had very strong, I don't want to call them punchlines, because some people might have a different definition for a punchline, but he had very strong lines where it's like you could really just say that line, forget the rest of the verse, and it would have the same impact. So like I'm gonna fast forward. There's a song, I can't remember the name. Rubik's is probably gonna come to the rescue. There's a song where they used a Wu-Tang sample. This is much newer. Spirit of the Wu, I can't remember what it was called. But towards the end of the song, Dave says, like furry dice hanging off the mirror, your position is concerning my vision. And they're talking about the position of said rapper, said music, like you're going elsewhere with it, but just a simple. When he said it, I was just like, yeah, I put myself in that. Yeah, furry dice hanging off the mirror. Your position is concerning my vision, right? You look at if you have it's so incredible. There's another song off of I don't know if it's Bionics, where he says, "How are you going to tell me to mind my own business when you look like something I need to know about?" And he's talking
mm,
about a girl, and it's like it's the beginning words to his verse. How are you going to tell me to mind my own business when you look like something? You look like something I need to know. You look like something I think I need to know about. Kind of like I'm feeling you. How you? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but to me,
nah,
like
it's not just you. I
it's
mean,
super dope that he has that type of strength in his rhymes, where he could just say one thing. He says so much in such a small amount of time.
right? Nah, like, and that's it's dope because it's a different way of being dope, right? Like he's not saying a lot, but the way he's saying it is just slick talk. It's slick talk. You know what I mean? That's what it is, and that's what's dope. It's like it's slick talk, and I respect that. It's some slick talk. Like another dope track off the De La Soul Zed album is Hey Love. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, hey, I was just listening to that today.
And so let's like, yo, can we get to this like how dope and how slept on for whatever reason the Balloon Mind State is, man. That shit is
Bro,
that.
let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this, because I look look I'm ready because this album. So okay, let me ask you this before we get into it. Did, okay, so I know right now you're saying the album is slept on. I'm saying the album was slept on. Did you feel like that when the album came out though?
Yeah,
You did.
I I didn't I didn't listen. I slept on the album when it came out. I didn't I didn't pump it. It came out in '93.
93, yeah.
I didn't pump it until '94. Um, it didn't get a lot. I didn't. I mean, I saw Breaking Dawn. I guess the video probably on TV, but it didn't. It just didn't. I don't know. Like I don't know. I know I didn't get it until maybe like going into my freshman, like going into like my senior year of high school. So, like that album is crazy, and it's really fucking good.
I asked because, and I've noticed a lot of people say this, and I've done my research too. People that I know, interviews or whatever. But when that, because again, at this point, De La was like I knew it and I was following it. This album came out. I remember giving it one listen, and that was that. Like I heard it. Okay, I heard it, and it was one thing that'll pop up once in a while. Yeah, I'll throw it in. But like you, it wasn't until even end of '94. When did Stakes came out in '96, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So maybe I probably got into it in '95 actually, and it wasn't until maybe even maybe even after Stakes is High came out that I actually was like, okay, this album, I get it now. Like I get it because when I heard it, I was like, all right, I don't know. There was something about that album that it was just kind of like it went quote unquote under the radar. And it wasn't until later that I'm like, oh shit, I get it. And that's one of the albums too, the first album that didn't have as many tracks.
Yeah, it's a shorter album. Looking at it now, it's only 48
Yeah.
minutes, and for back then, time.
But bro, IMIB, what?
Yeah, that PA was talking about that. Like me, that shit. Like he was spitting that shit in our build. I mean, like it's brilliant. It's another they came out of the box, man. De La Soul came out of the box with like their first 4 or 5 joints, man, are like home runs, man. Like a couple like all-time classic albums, in my opinion, and some really solid projects, man. I mean, like like so. I don't know. Yeah, so that album was really good. I slept on it. I think a lot of people we all slept.
Yeah, Rob, 100%, no
You
questions asked.
Steph carried it. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, like Eye Patch. I'm looking at the track list now, yo.
Patty,
Like,
dude, come
uh,
on, dude.
yeah, yeah.
Bro,
Like, I mean, so much good shit. Break of Dawn. I mean,
Break It
they,
Dawn,
they
like
had
the
a
like
video for
the
Break.
last song.
They had a video for Break of Dawn, but like, it just, I don't know. That album just didn't get like, I mean, let's see, what did it do critically? What was the critically
I don't. I mean, it was received okay,
critical
but
reception?
it didn't make too much
I read
noise.
it. Was voted the eighth best album of the year, for something blah blah blah. Village Voice. Rolling Stone said album. Fuck Rolling Stone. Uh, comedian in 2005, Chris Rock named it the 10th greatest hip hop record of all time, published by Rolling Stone. I think that's interesting. You know what I'm saying? It shows where, I mean, Chris Rock. I just posted a picture of Chris Rock with Prince Paul, so he gets. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he understands. But yeah, that was a dope project, man. You know what I'm saying? That was a really dope project, and I think people it kind of just went over under whatever, just kind of just. But
I'll say this. I'm a big believer. I'm not religious whatsoever, but I'm a big believer of things happening for reasons. Everything happens for a reason. Me doing this with my hands is for whatever for a reason. That's how I look at things. So I think, right, because it got to the point, from my understanding, it got to the point where the label was like, okay, this album didn't make noise. De La had one more chance to kind of redeem themselves. And I think it set up Stakes is High, hence the name, for something big. And I think they successfully hit that home run with Stakes is High, based off of what Balloon Mind State did or didn't do. Let me go back to Balloon Mind State again. In I know Dave has, like I said, Dave has certain little things that he'll say, just something, a small verbiage, great content. But hence balloon mind state, just the opening where it might blow up, but it won't go pop.
Mm.
At that time, today it might not mean too much, or maybe it does. I don't know. But when I heard, I mean, come on, dude.
No, very simple,
But effective.
but dope and just dope. Like it can, you know what I mean? It's like a dope. It's like a dope throwy or a dope hand style or a dope piece, right? Like sometimes it's not all wild styled out. Just dope. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, I yeah, I miss that's one of the solo, man. I'm just saying.
That would have been dope.
I'm gonna keep saying it. Whatever. So yeah.
So let's try to move forward because I really want to get into. I mean, again, rest in peace, Trugoy. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm going to miss you because I didn't know the dude. But it is unfortunate because I grew up listening to the music. Stakes is high, another home run. That's when Dilla comes into the mix, and it's a different sound, right? It gets to the point where now it's like, all right, it's a little more boom bap, right? And it's definitely a different De La. Both Paz, both Paz and Dave, and even Maceo. It's just a different approach, and it's a different era too. '96, we're getting into a different feeling in hip hop. So I mean, we've talked about artists or groups that have more than two consecutive classic albums. We said Gangstar, we talked about Ice Cube. De La's up there, right? Because easily their first three. Um, actually, their first four we can say are classics, right? I mean, easy. And then you have, and I don't know if you want to say anything about Stakes is High, but then I liked Mosaic Thump. The whole AOI. Oh, you got it. Oh, that's Bionics, isn't it? Yeah.
Bonics.
Well, I love them both. And I knew the third installment, the final installment, was supposed to be on some like respect to the DJ shit, which I hate the fact that it never came out. But a lot of people, well, no, I hate saying that. Sorry. People say those albums are not up to par with their first four, which I get. They were still strong albums.
Yeah, they were still strong. I mean, everybody can't bet 1,000. I mean, so they were still strong. I think they were still solid. I mean, everybody tapers off or whatever, but you know what I mean. They came to me. Look, you come out the gate, 4 fucking home runs. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm good. I think your shit's solidified for me. You know what I mean? I feel like you got some carte blanche to do whatever do a lot of experimental shit after that. Like, fuck it, yo. Like, you gave me 4 home runs. Like boom. I'm as a fan. I can't really. I'm not gonna kill you for like doing other shit or whatever. Like, so, yeah. I mean, I thought and then they started experimenting, doing different shit, and growing up and being fathers and men, and shit changes. You know what I'm saying? And they're not Daisy dudes and shit. So you got to understand that. We have to understand it as fans, and sometimes we don't. So we have to really.
Yeah, we hold on to an image, right? Well, you were doing this, and why? Again, that's the whole De La Soul is dead, right? Oh, right. You guys are hippies, and that's what we fell in love with. And
right. Yeah. So one thing, I mean, because we only got 15 minutes, and our shit goes quick.
Fucking just noticed that.
So I wanted to talk about one thing that, from an MC level, one thing that Planet Asia said.
Please do. That shit is on point.
It's so on point. It was a brilliant point. He said, I'm paraphrasing. He was like, if you don't have De La or native tongue in your DNA, he said, I guarantee you, your rapping is kind of regular. Your rapping is kind of bland. Like, he's like, if you don't have De La, if you don't have native tongue in you, and if you don't understand, he said, if you don't understand the inner workings and understand native tongue, then your MC and your rapping, he said you can't be different. He said you're not really different. He said you don't really understand what it means to be different. And I thought that was brilliant because he said, even if I, he said, and even he took it another, he said, even if I just spit gangster shit, if like, even like hood cats that really can MC understand De La Soul, like, you know what I mean? Native tongue. Like, and I thought that was a brilliant point that he made, um, talking about that, man. You know what I'm saying? Just from an MC perspective, if you don't have that in your game, native, if you don't have native tongue, Jungle Brothers, if you don't have that flavor, kind of bland. I
Yeah,
love
you don't have to spy. Here's why I think he said, and there's no way I could say it better. There's no way I can adjust it. It's said, and there's mic drop. Like that's so incredibly true, especially coming from a high caliber MC. Like you can't front on that. You can't say yes, no. It's boom, yes. Now here's why
it.
I think, because I dissected it.
Well, you can because people will. I mean,
Well, and they will, yeah.
yeah.
Let me see. Chef has a question, and I want to make
Mm,
sure. I'm gonna
cool.
put it up,
Yeah,
but
cool.
let me get into this real quick.
Yeah.
Um, Here's why I think he said that, because I dissected. I watched that video. I don't know how many times. It's the same. It's the same shit, but I was trying to understand deeper than maybe it was, but it was super deep. But here's the reason why I think he said that, because with native tongue, however you want to look at it, because even De La Soul says native tongue is basically just one record, but it was more of a friendship, right? So if we look at it as the friendship, right? Not only are we looking at five or six different artists groups, but we're also dealing with a wide range of just an era, right? We started in 87, 88 with Jungle Brothers, and there was that. um I think it's safe
That's
to say
that's OG native tongue. The Jungle Brothers.
that's foundation. I
That's
mean,
that,
you have to say that. That's foundation all
that's
day.
it. And if it,
Um,
take a step, I mean, yeah, Jungle Brothers, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. I mean, and I, bro, and I know you know this, but I rock for Black empowerment all day. I already told you my whole X clan. Like, I'm game with upliftment and uh, all that. So that's the foundation, and that's what they were on. Peace, Black empowerment, the Black woman. To me, that's beautiful. It doesn't get any more beautiful than that. But we're talking 80. I'm gonna say 88, right? Let's just say 88. Straight out the jungle, all that stuff. And then we get into De La, which is 89, 90. Okay, so turn the page. 90. 90s had a different sound. Now you get into, okay, we got Jungle Brothers. We got Jungle Brothers. I can't say they were really different in their sound. They were different in their content, right? But again, foundation. It was incredible.
I think
De La was
they're different in their sound. I mean, they had a house track that was one of the best tracks
well.
of
You're
all
right. You're
time.
absolutely
And
right.
I
Yeah,
think
Girl
they
House. Yeah.
also, yeah, I think they were very, I mean, no, I think they were, I mean, think about what they were putting out like in
No,
80.
you're right. You're right.
So
You're right. Now that I
they were,
think
you
about it,
know,
and
they're the,
here's why I say there's a song, and this was after the fact. You Make Me Sweat. They sampled.
you make it wanna go and do the jerk. You make it up.
Pretty little mama, what's your kick? I like to know what makes you tick. Going to work all prettied up. As I watch you, I'm gonna get it up. Dude, don't, because I'm gonna start
I
wilding
mean,
out. Okay,
all
listen.
this shit, yo, the JBs, the JBs. I mean,
Okay,
come on.
insane. You're right. I backtrack, but here's my point. When we say native tongues, and when Planet Asia said this, I'm assuming we're looking at a wide range of an era. I've said this before. Back then, no year sounded the same as the prior. 88 didn't sound like 87. 89 didn't sound like 88. So with him saying that, you had 88 through at least 94, 95 to to space it out, where you had the JBs or Jungle Brothers, De La, Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah, Moni Love, Black Sheep. Like, what? So of course, something like Planet Asia would say, somewhere down the line you'd have a little bit of that flavor, and if you didn't,
right. And I will say this though, 'cause he he was mentioning native tongues, but he actually was really honing in on De La.
De La
He,
Soul.
he was like, you need to have De La up in you, like what I'm saying. So that was me, but we were speaking native tongues too. But yeah, we're saying the whole thing, and yeah, there was a wide range after the Jungle Brothers. It was dope, and that's dope collective. You know what I'm saying? We did talk to Drez at Chi Ali. Um, Beat nuts were actually part of native tongues. You know what I'm saying? That that are you like not saying no? They
I
were
mean, if Poss and Dave and May say it, then it is what it is.
they've
And
said it.
honestly, here, let me tell you this. We're gonna go past 8 o'clock if you're okay with that. All right. Look.
He said, "Nah, he fight. Let's go. Let's
No,
go."
no, and then I'll just and Chef, I'll get to that question because I really want to answer that. But so native tongue is more like, oh, this is who we hang out with, right? Dave said it himself. He's like, native tongue really stems off one record, Buddy, and it's the remix, not the original. The original did have Q-Tip, but it didn't have Queen Latifah, didn't have Fife. So it really was the remix that native tongue really has together. Now, yes, did Q-Tip was Q-Tip featured on other native tongue artists? Yeah, of course. Drez, Mr. Long came out on later albums with De La, so I get that. But when we start getting to, and again, if Poss and them say it, like I can't fight it. But to me, it's like, all right, how do the beat nuts come into the mix? I've even heard Fush Nickens was part of the native tongues.
Oh, I heard that too. I mean, but here's the thing. Drez told me that it was, and we've heard it was a group of friends. Really, it wasn't like
Yeah.
this. That's why there wasn't more records. And Drez said that he wanted more records. Like he wants a record now, but like he said they didn't put out more records. He wished they had done more records. He wished they had done more he said they wished they had organized more. It wasn't organized. We look at as fans, we may have some false idea of what it was. We look at it as some like movement. It was a group of friends probably just making beats, emceeing, burning trees, chilling, hanging out, and just they called it something. I mean, like I did that with my friends on several occasions. So, you know, um, I don't. Maybe it wasn't even that. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we look at it as like some big like, So that's why beat what's work. I mean, yeah, beat nuts. We're not in it on like the music level in terms of like hip hop history. They had their own shit going on, and we didn't see it as part of native tongues. But
They're probably just a group of friends.
they were all like peoples. I mean, and that's what it was. But like it probably just wasn't a big deal because they weren't doing albums together. What tracks were they? Got nothing really.
So,
They were
and
just
I still want to answer Chef's question. I got a question for you though.
yeah. We're gonna get to the chef joint.
So let's put it this way, because you said
Yeah.
Drez, wanted more records. My understanding, and keep in mind, I mean, I'm a De La head, and I've interviews. I mean, I've seen it, but my understanding is with Buddy, right? Because I'm gonna reference that because that's what it stems off of. With Buddy, it wasn't like, yo, Latifah, Moni, so and so, we want you on this song. It was, you guys are in the studio, fuck it, get on the mic, and it just happened, right? If if it, if Drez had it his way and they organized a song, knowing that Buddy and everything else was more organic, you're just in the studio and this great song came out of it, Buddy. And I don't like doing assumptions, but do you think it would have the same feeling if you're like forcing an all native tongue? Let's get Brand Nubian, let's get so and so, let's all together and make a posse cut. Would it have?
Nah, I think it would be fire because you got that energy. I don't think it would be forced. I think it would be ridiculous. Dope. I mean, I think it was what you should do. I mean, I don't see there's no negative to me in all of those dope MCs
That'd
putting
be
it out
fucking
together.
insane, dude.
There's no
Honestly,
negative. And
I would have loved to see Brand Nubian on the track.
yeah, all that shit. I mean, so somebody, my man Chef said most Bush babies. So yes, from what I hear
Yeah,
later on,
yeah.
most deaf Bush babies. Big up to my man Lee Majors Bush babies. Um, they were part of Native Tongue, but that time it was just whatever, you know. And Chucky Boogie Brown, I never heard Digable playing. I mean, so I don't know.
And that's not the first time I hear about Diggable. And the I think it's more the style, right? The
Yeah,
jazz, laid back, funk, and all that. Like,
yeah, I never,
yeah,
but I never heard.
if Poss or Dave or Mace would have came out and said, yeah, Diggable, I wouldn't have. It would have been like, yeah, of course, that's they kind of you have a similar, sound and ingenuity and all that. So, here's another dope joint. Yeah,
This, this
Rubik's. Yes, please talk about that. That's a dope. That's a dope joint. Let's get to Chef
yeah,
unless you have something else to say.
yeah. Do you think their first three albums would have been classics without Prince Paul? So I'll just say this: yes and no. No, well, yes. It was if the producer was as good as Prince Paul, it might have just been a different type of album. It was something different. I think those MCs are good enough. See, the thing is, I don't think Prince Paul needed to do albums for them to be dope. They need good production. Any MC needs good production, but I don't think they had to have Prince Paul in order to be De La Soul in order to do some shit. I think they could have found a producer that was equally as talented, and we would have just heard different music. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it had to be Prince Paul, but the fact that it was Prince Paul, oh fucking yes, good. You know what I mean? Like, of course, but I think, but on the same respect, I think it could have been they could have got a producer that was like less than, and we just looking at them as some group that didn't make it out of the 80s, 90s. So
Um, I'm leaning towards more of saying no, and I'll say why. We're dealing with Prince Paul coming out of Stetsasonic, not being able to express himself musically. He was the younger cat there, right? So that's one. Just having the knowledge of being in the forefront in the studio and just suppressing his creativity and his talent. Then coming into the mix with three dudes that were probably just as quote unquote nerdy, how they say it, um, and obscure, if you want to say it that way, uh, and the right time, right? So similar to how it was with Prince Paul and RZA getting together with the whole Grave Digger shit. Prince Paul was on some like fuck the industry shit. RZA was on the same shit because they both got dropped, and they were all let's do the Grave Digger. So it's similar to that, where it's like Prince Paul is kind of like the Incredible Hulk, just gets out of this whole Stetsasonic shit, and he just like boom, just vomits his creativity with the help of De La, because De La's already, they don't need Prince Paul, but the fact, like you said, the fact that they used them, that was a perfect marriage. So I'm leaning towards more so like I don't think it would be as a classic, and if I'm let's say a gun to my head, I have to say yes. I would say yes. Like first album would be Prince Paul, and anything post that would be okay for any other producer. I think that bum rush the industry with something different from a person like Prince Paul, it was needed.
yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see like who else would they have gone at that time at 89.
Mm. See, it's hard. Like Marley Marl. Like, what if he had like see, what if he had a Marley
See, what I would say, I mean,
like what if they had more like something? See,
yeah,
like we don't know. Like that could still be dope. Like Prince, like De La Soul over Marley Marl beats.
You know, you're right because now we're probably looking at something still innovative, still groundbreaking, but just a oh shit.
See, see what I'm
Okay.
saying? So like and here's the thing,
Wow.
and here's the thing, and this is it could have happened. Like Marley Marl's and Queens, they're in Long Island, right next to each other. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. That's why I said yes and no. Like if you Prince De La Soul, imagine like a Marley Marl remix of all the De La of like 3 feet high, right?
I need to put that out in the universe. That would have been yeah. Now you got me thinking like
See,
wow. And look at me, I'm smiling like yeah, dude.
see, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of who's hopping. I'm thinking of who's like popping off, like his producer. Marley Marl was in his fucking
Oh, Marty
bag.
Marl was in his prime.
He was in his bag, 80, 88, 89. I mean,
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of mixes and mixtapes and you know I don't have one here, but so just to kind of dwindle down here. So hopefully, Chef, we answered your question the way you wanted it. I'm gonna kill that right there. Um, Dust Brothers. Hmm. Here's what I okay. So let me say this, and then I'll go back. There, we know there's mashups, right? You have that Nas mashup with 45 King, right? So
yeah, the Godfather Don.
yeah, oh, that's right. And you know, one thing is to say, all right, I'm gonna take Marley Marl beats that are already a thing, right? Strip down whoever was produced already, take away their lyrics, and throw some De La shit. That's a little different than saying go back in time, present, have Marley Marl in the studio with De La and vibe off of that. So, because I was gonna say like I would love someone to do a mashup, but a mashup might not give that.
No,
You know, because
no,
now we're missing skits. Now we're missing, you know, all that.
I'm talking about they like
Yeah.
instead of linking up with Prince Paul, whatever party they went to, they happened to just catch up with Marley. It's Queens, Long Island is right there. So you know what I mean? Like
You got me bugging off of that shit. You got me
they,
thinking.
they catch up in the studio. You know what I'm saying? And Marley Marl's making these. He's like, I really like it. But imagine, I can't. Marley Marl's like saying he like, these cats were kind of different. I like this. Shit. Forced me much going to different. And he came up with some crazy like that he never even thought he was going to come up with just because these cats were rhyming on. Imagine the energy. Say
Because that brings out the best in both, right? Marley, because Prince Paul had a zany and not in a bad way, a certain approach to it, right? And that probably brought out more of the nerdy side of De La, if you want to call it that way, or you want to put it that way. But Marley Marl, like De La would influence his sound. His sound would influence De La. So yeah, we'd probably be still dealing with a very groundbreaking sound, different than what we see now, but still nonetheless groundbreaking. You got me thinking.
see, and Steve just said the symphony with De La, the fucking Marley shit with De. Yo, imagine them cats eat that symphony beat. See, so you know what I mean. So yes and no. That's why I say yes and no. Like,
Yeah,
but
I
same
might
token,
have to change my answer to that shit.
but the same token, you could have gotten a producer that was like whack and you know it's trash. You know,
Yeah,
but
because
like I think
all it takes is one whack album, or one whack track, and it's just like yeah, done, right? As opposed to like you come into the game and just bum rush it, like I said. But yeah, that's you. I'm gonna think about that all night, actually.
De La Soul over Marley Marl
Marty
beat.
Marl.
Come on, man. That's a missile right there. That's a missile right there. Um,
Right. So, all right, I wanted to mention this before we go. We can still talk, but so again with this whole mashup and mix remixes and mixes and all that shit. If you guys don't know, and any chance I get, I always bring this up. So there's two, actually there might be three of my personal favorite mixtapes, literally on tape, not current date mixtapes that are not on tape. So there's one called Fe La Soul, which is mixed by Amerigo Gazaway. He's from overseas, where he'll take Fela Kuti songs. If you guys know who Fela Kuti is, do your knowledge, but amazing mixtape. He'll take Fela Kuti songs, sample Fela Kuti songs over De La Soul rhymes, and it's called Fela Soul. Fucking amazing. I thought I had it, but apparently not. That's one. I wanted to mention it. Anybody knows about it, and if you don't, look it up. Bandcamp, YouTube. Literally, it's on tape. The other one is by DJ Platter, which is So This Is De La Heaven Part 2. I don't know what happened to Part 1, but Part 2 is amazing, and this is what I like about this particular project. Is DJ Platter, what he'll do is it's all vinyl, right? It's mixing. What he'll do is he'll play the sample, right? Or the original. He'll play the original, and then when it gets to the sample, he'll kind of flip it a little bit and then mix in the De La Soul song. So it's the original sample, De La Soul song. Original sample, De La Soul song. And it's an incredible mix. Oh, bro, if you have, I'm gonna send you the link. Fucking beautiful, 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 beautiful music. And then there's another one, a little different. It's called De La Soul, which is Dilla beats, not off the Snake Side album, but just Dilla beats mashed up with De La Soul songs. Pretty dope. Least of my favorite, but it's still super dope. I'm not sure if you've heard of any of them.
Nope, I have not. So, I mean, that was probably during the time when I was definitely,
This
you
is
know.
you're right. Yeah, the DJ Pattern one was a while back. Let me
When,
see.
when was it?
Oh shit, it is here.
Give me the time frame
Here, I'll tell you right now.
of those three joints, and I can tell you what worked.
So, Fela Soul. Damn it, doesn't say. No, this has to be like 2013, 2014. Fela Soul.
Off the grid.
That one. And then This Is De La Heaven. Why the fuck don't these have the year? Well, anyways. So this one was put out by the homie Strictly Cassette. And it's by DJ Platter. This is De La Heaven. Real simple, but really dope.
Dope.
The insert was, I've always liked this picture. You guys probably can't see it that well, but it's the inside. But this one's super dope. And then this is the least of my favorite, but it's still nice. It's De La Soul.
When was that?
This one was 2013.
Off the grid.
Yeah. So this is not like too far out, but yeah, if you were off the grid. But I'll send you those links. If you guys don't know about him, hit me up. I'll hit you with the links. But I gave them to you in order. So my favorite's Fela Soul, then This Is De La Heaven, and then the De La Soul.
Dope.
There was also, I don't know if you know, you should know. Is it so this is the Daisy Age, where they used Dilla beats and re-performed old De La Soul songs. I don't know if you've heard it.
I've heard of it, but I haven't heard it.
It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. It's kind of weird to hear like really early stuff, like off the 3 Feet High and Rising album, but current voice and all that. It's kind of weird.
That's interesting. I have to check it out. Check it out. Good intel as always. You brother, you fucking go deep. You go deep. I love it.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, it's. Hold up. We got. Oh, you got time for a few more questions?
Yeah, I got time.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a Chucky Boogie Brown here. So, what's your guys' take on the Gorillaz track with De La Soul? I don't know if you've heard it. Okay, so I heard it. I would rather have you listen to it before I comment, but because I don't want no influence. It's cool. It's a little too upbeat for me, which is kind of weird because then you have stuff like Mama Gave Birth to the Soul Children with Queen Latifah featuring De La Soul, which has that type of tempo, or even doing our own thing with the Jungle Brothers, and it's up tempo, kind of almost it's like a dance song.
You see your wife,
Huh?
wifey a thoroughbred.
Just make it 8:30. Put it overtime. Okay, she said it. But yeah, I don't. I can't sit here and say like, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of it. It's De La, so I mean, I rock with them, but I can't sit here and say like, yo, I love the joint. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. I mean, so, I mean, I don't know if you don't like it, I probably won't like it. I probably won't like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's on some dance shit,
You
but
already
yeah, I'm
said,
not so
you
I'm
already
not so
posted
sure you'll
this one.
fuck with.
You posted this one.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I think
Yeah.
okay. So I think that was it.
Okay. Cool.
There's let me. I'm gonna do one more, and then we're done. I don't really do these type of questions, but I'm gonna do it anyways, just because I'm feeling saucy.
Uh,
If I had to pick one, what's favorite De La Soul song? Again,
mm,
I don't like answering these questions. One, because it stresses me out. Because I'll start thinking about one, and it's like, okay, that one. And they're like, oh fuck, no, then this one. But I'll
I'm
stick
just gonna
with this.
answer quick. I'm gonna think of a couple and then answer quick. If that's just get it over with. Because I'm like, all right, favorite one. Now I appreciate this because I put people in this position all the time, and I'm force people to pick. So, um, if I had a, oh, it's between two. It's between potholes in my lawn
Mm.
and oodles of O's.
Oodles and oodles of O's. Yeah, that was gonna
Uh,
be my pick.
oh, was it really?
Oodles. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm constantly singing that shit.
A word. That's, that you
Yeah,
serious? That
100%. If wifey's still on, she'll confirm it.
word. That's crazy, yo. So it's between.
Look, she just said yes.
I gotta go oodles of O's because I put that on for my grandson, and he was rocking to that shit. Like when he had his. I got him a onesie when I went to Detroit, and it said "Detroit hustles harder" on the onesie, and I put on. He was laying there. I put on oodles of oodles of. Yo, you get it from a sister. You get it from a bro. Yo,
Yeah, everything about that song, right? The fact to where Dave kind of
that's crazy,
yeah, that's insane
yo.
that
Out of
because I mean we
all the
rock with
songs.
each other, but I didn't think that was gonna jive like that.
Damn. See. Because you are, listen, let me tell you something. You're always talking about how we're like so different and shit. And I'm like, yo, we're really not that different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always just look at it like this. Your go-to music is maybe different than my go-to music, but like in the middle, I'm right there with you with all the fucking weirdo shit. Like oodles of O's is crazy. Like you know what I'm saying? So like and just you also had more exposure to it or whatever. Like again, where I was on the East Coast, man, during that late 90s time, yo, it was like box cutter music, man. That's what you know, like this Tim's, like fucking this run up on somebody like type shit. That was the type of music we were listening to. So it wasn't a lot of room for other shit at that time. And you know what I mean? You know, so but see,
That's
that's crazy.
dope. That's
That
dope.
was
Because I was gonna say like a mashup between like IMIB and Oodles of O's. Um, and IMIB, even though that's a great song, doesn't matter where I'm at. Doesn't I don't care what it is. Oodles of O's comes on and
yeah,
yeah,
see? All
immediately.
right. All right. See? That's crazy.
All right,
See?
yo, I had a lot of fun. We went a little over. It don't matter though.
That's all good.
Definitely. I know nobody that knows Dave or Trugoy is watching, but nonetheless, condolences to the family. It's crazy to. I don't want to go that route. I don't want to go the route where it's like, yo, we lost you because he's not my family. But there's a little bit of me that it's like, yeah, that's my childhood. Like
Yeah,
it's tough.
right.
So
That's it. Here's the thing. That's the same way for me when Prodigy passed away. Like, I know where I was when I was listening to Mobb Deep and Shook Ones, and what I was doing, and I was behaving like Mobb Deep. So, and I know what I was doing with so the De La shit hits home because I know it was a part of that's coming of age type shit, right? So, like, yeah, I don't know them from a hole in the wall or anything, but like, I I can. That's memories that were there were memories that were created from that listening to that music, and so therefore that shit hits my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like that's important to me. So, um, yeah. So that's the thing. It's not about yeah. I mean, we don't get into that shit. I don't know these cats, but like for that's that when some of these cats have passed, because there is no more De La Soul as we know it. That's I look at the facts. There is no more Mob Deep. That shit's done, yo. There is no more like De La Soul. Done. Done. I'm sorry. I
And, and even though, again, I'll bring it. So both Paz and Mason said like it's still De La Soul, and yeah, the name and all that. But let's
I'm
keep it a
saying as
buck,
far
right? Like you say,
as
it's done. Like
you
this is
can't
it.
make any new music with that's it's not the same. I mean, it might be dope, but it still ain't the same. It could still I would love to hear Paz and Mace make a fucking album, yo. That would be fucking ill. I would love it. I'm just saying it ain't gonna be the same shit. Though, like, you know what I mean? It's just not it ain't the same. It's a
Yeah,
positive. I mean, you can call it De La Soul, but like this, I'm just saying it still ain't the same.
it's not
That's
gonna.
all right.
It's not gonna have. Again, we talked about the importance of Dave's rhyme schemes and rhyme patterns that influenced Paz in the same. So that balance, like, it's not gonna be there. Now,
Yeah.
I'll say this tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. So Paz. See, and I'm gonna say it instead of saying De La Soul. Paz and Maceo are going to be on the Jimmy Fallon show tomorrow, I believe.
Mm.
So, I mean, I don't know. Is this the start of? I don't know what they're going to do. Is it an interview? Are they going to perform? Like, and I know they were supposed to do some kind of tour, and I don't know if it's still going on. But I mean, we'll see what happens. All
Yeah,
the
no,
best
I
to
mean,
them. All the
it should still try to do something. I mean, of course. I mean, I was doing something, and all his homies are not there. So I mean, like, um,
yeah, true.
so they should, of course. I'm just saying, like, from putting out an album, we're not going to get a De La Soul album. It's just impossible. We're not going to get a Mobb Deep album. Yes, I would love Prodigy to have it to still fucking keep doing his thing. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like, you know what I mean. So, um, but yeah, but it is what it is. I mean, you got to keep the legacy going. Yes, I would love for this to light a fire under News and come out with fire solo shit. Like, yes, keep the legacy going, of course.
I'm wondering, just to cut it here. I'm wondering because they were supposedly working with Prince Paul and Premier.
Yes, exactly.
So,
I talked about it today. So we were supposed to get some shit. So
who knows?
I gotta get ready to run.
All right,
So
brother. I appreciate you going a little longer here.
yeah, of course. I love it. I'll go over every time. I'll go fuck. Give me something to do.
Right on.
Salute
Appreciate
to everybody
everybody.
joining in. And salute to wifey extending the time and all that shit. And big up, man. And yeah, so get this
All right,
up on
brother.
the YouTube and everything. Everybody be good, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate you.
Of course, family peace.
All right,
Peace,
everybody.
y'all. Peace.
Peace.